Hello, and
Hey,
welcome to the Interjections podcast, our podcast where we look into the hidden gems of the 1990s that we've subtitled The Undiscovered Decade. We're up to April 1992, and so we're taking a look back at a film for the second time that starred Val Kilmer. Last year we covered The Doors, where he starred as the enigmatic Jim Morrison, but his follow-up to this was a film called Thunderheart, where he plays an FBI agent that's enlisted to handle the Native Americans of the Oglala Sioux tribe up in South Dakota. And he's joined by Sam Shepard, the agent out there, and things are not quite what he expects when he gets there. So I love Val Kilmer. I thought he was great in this again. I don't know what you guys thought of the film in general, but he was killing it in the 90s, just hit after hit after hit, I think. But I think
This
obviously it got
Tombstone's
buried.
Tombstone's immediately after this, isn't that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had quite a run back then.
yeah,
I think Graham Greene. It can't be understated how good he is. Like
Yeah.
this actually becomes like a buddy cop movie. Two good guys in a bad situation, like Jeff likes to say. And I think their chemistry is off the charts good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very surprised by how good this movie was. Like I wasn't expecting it, especially with, part of the premise is the reason they send Val Kilmer's character to handle it is because he's a quarter Sioux.
And he denies he doesn't want to.
Which in real life,
Right.
Val Kilmer's an 8th Cherokee.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're like, they'll talk to you because you're technically a part of their world there.
yeah. Technically, even though like he was a bit alienated,
Right. He was
by
denying
himself, his father, and society back in the day, because like it wasn't always a good thing to be mixed.
Yeah.
Of anything.
So
Because this movie takes place like what, 1970 something?
Yeah,
it's in the
70s.
middle of the 70s. Yeah. It's supposed to take place after the real life Wounded Knee occupation, where this group called the American Indian Movement, which is what in this film that was it, I forget what the name was, the acronym for the group in the film, but
it was
what Fred
Aboriginal
Ward-
Resistance Movement was what they
it was
called
ARM.
it. ARM.
Yeah, in real life it was AIM, and so these Native Americans were trying to get rights for the Native Americans, and they were doing it in what seemed to them the best way possible because they weren't being listened to by the government, and so they were becoming more and more violent according to the government, but they were really just resisting and trying to get rights to the reservations. The group that I kind of mentioned that Fred Ward is part of, they make him part of ARM, but he was actually part of this group that in real life was called the Goon Squad.
Well, he wasn't part of
would go
ARM, though.
around-
No, he was just the part of the FBI unit that's.
No, he was just a guy that was head of the council of the
Is he?
reservation. Like he's a corrupt politician of those people.
Well, see, this is what was getting confusing, not in the film, but they're trying to make it seem like ARM was bad by having the Goon Squad mess people up. So that was how, in real life, they were making Native Americans look disturbed and violent. And so to the outside eye from the West and East Coast, you would think, oh, we have to handle these people. And so they'd send the FBI in to handle it. And in real life at the Wounded Knee occupation, 2 FBI agents are shot and killed. And it erupts from there. So this is sort of a story that's based on that and a follow-up incident at the Oglala reservation that happens. Michael Apted, actually, the director of this film, had done a documentary this year called Incident at Oglala, which I checked out this past week to see how it would be related. It's just essentially this, but the real events that lead up to what happened. And there's a person named Leonard Peltier who is still in jail for he was accused of killing someone on the reservation and then setting off the tinderbox that led to the FBI agent's death. But in the documentary, it is heavily hinted that it was not him. He was not even at the reservation. And so it was Apted trying to help clear his name and bring light to what was actually going on the reservations.
So was that still like a dramatization, or was it a documentary?
It was a documentary.
Okay.
And there's actually a person who was a contact of Apted's in the reservation that looks exactly like Jimmy. Jimmy looks twice. When he pops up in Thunderheart, I was like, oh, it's just that guy. He's in the film.
Ripped from the headlines, as they say.
Yeah. So Apted, I think, was very close to this situation and wanted to bring light to it so that the world would know what was actually going on the reservation.
And they also tied it directly to the actual Wounded Knee massacre, because like at one point, he has a vision and goes and visits the Wounded Knee monument where apparently like the tombstone that he looks at that's commemorating all the victims was an exact replica of the original, with the exception that like one of the names was replaced with Thunderheart, which was his father's bloodline. So it was, not necessarily revisionist, but they were tying it as close as they possibly could to the real deal.
Sure. And
to tell that story.
Just to point out too, the Wounded Knee occupation happens in 1973. They chose that location because of the actual Wounded Knee massacre that happened in the 1890s,
right,
where cavalry soldiers massacred villages, women and children, and that's obviously a blight on American history. But it was covered as much up as possible back then. And so the AIM wanted to showcase that this is where this happened. We're bringing our territory back as much as possible. So,
or at least have control of what territory they have.
Right.
Can't get back what the government is saying, fuck you, no, it's ours.
Right. And that's why Val Kilmer in the film has visions of people running, because he is at the site of Wounded Knee.
But
so, anyway,
it was, I don't know, it was intense. It was good. It was a good arc for Kilmer's character too, because in the beginning he's basically like, he's alienated from it. He doesn't really acknowledge the fact that this was a part of his life, because it had been dug out of him at some point early on. But then they dug into it, and like his time on the reservation investigating this, like he gets back into his own history, first out of spite with the people that are like, you don't belong here, and then ultimately they realize that, oh, you are, you're a part of this because you had yourself a vision. And like they take that seriously. So and then he ultimately chooses to walk away from the FBI life.
Yeah, go off into the sunset like a true Western.
Yeah,
true. I think he also notices how corrupt the FBI is, specifically
exactly.
Sam Shepard's agent.
Yeah, the movie seems to circumvent, because a lot of movies in the 2000s, it would be the white savior syndrome. The movie seems to go out of its way to avoid those cliches. So for the most part, the Val Kilmer character and some of the other FBI agents are pretty gullible when it comes to stuff like this. So they, at one point they say that one of the suspects can shapeshift, and they're like, really? Is that true? And they seem to buy into it.
Yeah.
And whenever there are scenes with Graham Greene and the other FBI, every comment that they make, every insult they make, just bounces off and just ricochets, because he's the more competent one.
Yeah.
He's almost like the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle of the dynamic. Like he's the one leading Val Kilmer the whole way through. He's the more adept of the two. So I was glad that they turned that around.
Yeah, Walter Graham Greene's character is clearly the head of this film. I would say you don't realize he's essentially the lead, but like you said, he's the Watson in a way.
Yeah.
He's also the unreliable narrator for a bit too, because he's like, you don't know, he keeps messing with his head as,
Mhm.
and then Sam Shepard tries to turn Val Kilmer against him. Be
I like how they don't really demonize Sam Shepard's character. A little bit more towards the end, he's a little more villainous, but
It's a little
Yeah,
bit
because at that point, like Val Kilmer's character is like he figured everything out. So like
right.
that's one it's like you get a little hint that like he's a bad guy, but like he's a Fed. So like, okay, all right,
There's
whatever.
that part outside the hotel room where they're talking about, he was like, I respect the Native American people. I respect them. It's just they're in a futile civil war between each other that we're just here to pretty much mediate.
Well, and then he also like mentioned like these are conquered people, and like conquered people need to step in line, basically. So like there was a little bit of imperialism in his tone too.
Right.
I also think he's sort of was good at one point, maybe when he was first sent out there, and he falls apart as he's left in this oasis away from city life. I think it breaks him.
He
in
probably
the long
started
run.
off idealistic and then became
Yeah.
numb to everything he saw.
Right, and
You can see that arc, and Sam Shepard is good at portraying that without making it too broad.
right, he's not outright a villain. He's
Right.
just a bad person in the end.
Yeah,
He got
'cause
corrupt.
there's also like the whole thing, like part of the big issue that's like underlying the movie is like on the reservation there's like they're digging up uranium, and like he's part of it, but like he's probably like corrupt in the sense that like he's getting kickbacks, and then also leading back to the whole imperialism jargon. This is like the middle of the Cold War, so like we needed uranium to build bombs, essentially. So like he probably had a sense of like maybe duty at the end of the day, but also like he was a little bit corrupt too.
And the other thing is, like, who knows what orders he's getting. They sent him out here with one thing, and then they keep sending and just drip by drip of these orders that slowly turn into something far worse than what was initially supposed to happen.
True.
But going off of the uranium thing, that also brings us to another fine performance with Sheila Towsie as Meg Eaglebear. She was, just a mother that was on the reservation who,
Was basically labeled a terrorist.
Right. She was basically labeled a terrorist, but she was also going, everybody kept getting sick. Like kids were getting sick, cattle was getting sick. So she was trying to find out why. And then, that's how they get into the uranium.
Yeah, because they know at least the water was contaminated. They just didn't know by what. And once when it's revealed, bodies start dropping, like innocent bodies.
Yeah, she's just a school teacher too. That's
Right.
the other thing. She's just trying to figure this out on her own time. And Val Roy, his character, just happens to be interviewing everyone as much as possible on the reservation. And when he comes to her, he notices she knows more than she's letting on, and she may be the key to where he can find information.
In terms of that redemptive arc for Val Kilmer, I think the scene where it comes to a head is when her son's shot,
Mm-hmm.
and he takes him to the hospital. You can Val Kilmer is so heartfelt in that scene.
Mm-hmm. When he goes and attacks Fred Ward's boys.
Yeah. This is why, like, we've been talking about how good Val Kilmer was in the 90s. It's stuff like this where it's such a shame that nowadays he can't continue this streak, because back in the 90s he was immaculate.
Yeah, up until he did what was it? Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well,
that was a bit
mistakes were made.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, he basically has his runs from the early 80s until
I guess the late 90s weren't too kind, because you had The Saint, Batman, Ghost in the Darkness.
No.
Ghost in the Darkness is
Not
pretty
good.
good.
Not good.
I don't know. I mean, it was a long movie, but like I enjoyed it as a kid.
I do want to say Graham Greene had just been nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars back in 1990 for Dances with Wolves, which I never really, since I haven't seen it, I never really looked into who was in it other than Kevin Costner. It makes sense that he was then put into another film where he can guide someone. I don't know what his part in Dances with Wolves actually is, but
He kind of is like he kind of is the viewfinder for the Kevin Costner character. So
I'm sure it became a bit of a trope, but Graham Greene is good at what he does. So I am glad
he's not playing the same character.
Yeah,
and you don't even think about it when you see him in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
That could possibly be the same actor.
That's what I was going to bring up next. That he can still be diverse after that.
It's kind of like Wes Studi can play Native American characters, but he can also be in movies where he assimilates with the rest of the cast and you don't even think about his heritage.
Mm-hmm.
That's good acting.
I think we need more of that.
Well, it's like that that knock that Sam Shepard says to him in the airport. Like, if you turn on the right light, you look like a person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's also funny how like Roy, Val Kilmer's character, like he when he gets on the reservation, he like, even though he's like 1/4 Sioux, like he still like says some pretty racist things and is overwhelmingly ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when that's beaten into you as a child, is this is you're part savage, then that's obviously you're going to have that ideal going forward. It might be even why he entered the FBI. It was that indoctrination when he was little. How bad his father was and how all of this other stuff, is I don't know. It's definitely there's a backstory there that we don't see, which is
I think we get
definitely. I don't know. It was a good performance.
You get the catharsis through a little bit of the flashbacks. I think you get enough because then you get the sense of tradition and ancestry from the older man that Graham Greene brings him to. Played by this guy, Ted Thin Elk, who had never really been in any films before. He was chosen by Apted out of, I believe he is a real Sioux.
Yeah, he's an actual Lakota elder.
Yeah.
Spellbinding scene when he gives that backstory about the title.
But I was going to say how good Ted Thin Elk is. He has this, I want to say Yoda-like, not witticisms. He has this playfulness that he will mess with Roy and get him in on his side that way, because then it's like an impishness where he knows what is actually going on. You when he reveals that he knows English later, you're like, of course he does. That's a bit of a cliche, but it's played well enough that you don't mind that they did it here.
He's like any good guardian figure where he's just like, you'll figure it out.
This is one of the earlier
examples. Just gonna push you in the right direction there.
Listen, I think a better analogy than Yoda would be Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that works. Yeah, he's pushing him along so he finds his own way. He doesn't spell it out for him.
Yeah, he kind of just like nudges, says a few things here or there, plays a little game of I'll trade you this for that. And
yeah, I love the little details, like at the end when he gives Grandpa the watch and he sees that the pipe is already in his car. Yeah. So Grandpa knew that was going to happen.
Preemptively traded with him. Or knew that he was going to get that watch eventually.
Also, you know what my favorite part of the whole film was, right, Jimmy?
The dog?
Where Jimmy is
along for the dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
the dog was a pretty nice touch, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get us to know that Roy is starting to come to the right side.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just buying into it, and then
without like spelling it out in dialogue
Yeah.
exposition, you know.
Could be, maybe not. Why not? I need a.
Yeah.
Did the
Everyone-
dog get an award? Because
I don't know. I did not look this up.
He got best in show.
yeah.
Yeah.
The goodest boy.
Supporting animal.
I guess, what do you guys think you would give this?
I
I
would
don't
give
know if
this,
there's anything else we want to go into. I think we covered all the
The
actors.
cinematography was Roger Deakins, and it was amazing.
Was.
That's all.
Oh,
I
okay,
always
yeah.
love
I just
Roger.
have
I
to
was
throw
gonna
that in
say-
there.
the beginning when they do the rain ceremony and then it's juxtaposed with the massacre is really well done, because you get that beautiful image juxtaposed with that haunting image, and it resonates for like minutes after that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And even just like some of the aerial shots, like when you see Ray driving into Washington D.C., like it starts out of like there's a helicopter way back where, and then it goes in, follows him along the bridge, and then goes back out. And I'm like, how many takes
Yeah.
did that take?
And this is before you could put cameras on drones and everything.
Right, exactly.
Well, this is before drones.
This is all like on film where they barely had video taps. They were just like,
Helicopters are also very, very expensive. They're
Yeah.
probably the old school most expensive shot.
they had Val Kilmer money though. So you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I do like that it's bookended with that shot, and then the one where he's at the literal fork in the road when he's leaving the reservation. But it
Yeah.
is shot in a similar fashion, but in reverse, so
Yeah.
that you get the sense of, oh well, he gets that he's not a city person anymore. He'll come back here. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter which road he takes.
Real quick, does anybody remember which direction he went at the end of the movie? Did he go
He didn't go anywhere.
westward or
He sat,
eastward?
he sat there
It cuts.
and then it cuts. Because you
Oh,
just see the other
okay.
cars going
Alright,
every
okay.
which way, and you don't know.
Ambiguity.
That's actually pretty smart. Where he just stays in the car and then it cuts because like he's on the reservation still before like the
He
film
could
is
just
over.
back up and go back to it, you know.
Mhm.
Which
It's
is
a
a nice
castaway image.
Yeah.
The crossroads.
because if you look at a lot of like Native American contemporary art, like there's always whoever's like in the portraiture, they're always like facing or pointing west because that's the direction that they are being pushed.
Mhm.
Which like has symbolism and meaning, given that people from the East, white people, are doing the pushing. So to see Val Kilmer's character, who's like a quarter Sioux, just like gets in the car and is still there, and then the movie ends. It's a nice little reversal of that, or play on that, I guess,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if that was done intentionally.
Either way,
Probably.
yeah.
I'm sure it was.
It was very it was well
I
done.
do want to point out we already had a Roger Deakins film before, Air America. We also already had the composer work on a film, The Rocketeers, James Horner. I don't want to say that this stood out to me, but I do always like a good James Horner soundtrack.
Warner also did Beautiful Mind, didn't he?
Oh, he did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think he did A Beautiful Mind. He won some Oscars along the way.
I think he's done a lot of James Cameron movies as well.
Yeah. Aliens. He did the Alien soundtrack. But
Excellent.
I just wanted to point out we had two former people from other podcasts episodes. We also had briefly mentioned Fred Ward. This is his third film in our rotation. So he's
Just
like
goes
our,
to show a lot of the same people bring the same talent to the hidden gems of the 90s.
Actually, yeah.
Are you
Fred,
saying we should like start having a Fred Ward award
yeah.
A Fred Award.
on the podcast?
Senator Fred Thompson was in another movie that we talked about. He was in Die Hard 2.
Mhm.
And
and Hunt for Red October.
yeah, I mean, he's shown up throughout the 90s.
And obviously we had Val twice now as our feature. But I think it's always fun when I go to do the guide and I notice, oh, we're gonna have another Fred Ward. We're gonna have Nancy Travis again, that sort of thing.
Right.
So
Nancy Travis being misused again.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess what did you guys think of Thunderheart as a grade?
Well, I would definitely give it an A. I thought it was
A++.
a engrossing murder mystery and a great police procedural. And on top of that, very off-kilter, tart buddy cop banter between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
I'd almost want a sequel where you get to see what they do later.
It actually has increased in my memory because I remember liking it as a kid, and now having rewatched it, I love it even more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling solid A.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was brilliant. It was well done, well acted.
Yeah,
It was surprising. Not surprising. It was a gem.
I
It's
honestly thought it was going to be middle of the road for me. So I am pretty surprised. I'd give it an A plus.
I'm gonna reiterate A++. I was definitely emotionally invested in this movie. Yeah.
I want to see more Graham Greene stuff now.
I
That's
know. It's unfortunate there isn't.
I didn't know he was in the
another
Green
film.
Mile. I've never seen the Green Mile.
He's great in Green Mile.
He's one of the
He's not in it a lot, but
Yeah.
everyone's good in that. But now we can still watch Dances with Wolves.
So I guess you fellas want to know what else came out this month, huh?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
A movie from everyone's childhood, which I'm actually sure this whole panel has either seen or heard about. Beethoven came out.
Yeah, childhood favorite.
Yeah. Have you seen this, Jeff? You've seen it, right?
I think I may have blocked it from my memory, but yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why would you
It's Charles
block that from
Grodin
your
and a Saint
memory?
Bernard. How can you get more adorable than that?
Exactly.
And somehow this spawned, I guess it was a big enough hit, that spawned several sequels. One of which has Charles Grodin, and then after that, it's taken over by Judge Reinhold.
Oh, I forgot Judge Reinhold ended up getting stuck in there.
Wow.
It's actually produced by Ivan Reitman, who sadly just passed away.
Oh, the original was?
Yeah.
Okay, I was worried he just took off and was producing Beethoven after Beethoven.
No,
Okay.
I had done the first two that were theatrical, and then after that,
Yeah,
direct to DVD.
I still like the second one. It's all right.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Delicatessence finally got a wide release, which is a French film. Actually kind of a cult classic. It's kind of in a Terry Gilliam style dystopia. It's the same director who would later go on to do Alien Resurrection. I haven't seen it, so I can't.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet or
Yeah.
Jeunet?
Yeah, he co-directed this though. He's not the sole director on this one. But I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I've always heard it's one of the best 90s French films. Like, if you like Amelie, this isn't quite as sweet, but it has the same kind of vibes.
Yeah, I heard it's very whimsical.
Yeah.
Whimsy.
Mhm.
We like whimsy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Straight Talk, which is a Dolly Parton film. It's her and James Woods, weirdly enough, having supposedly romantic chemistry, although it fizzles out pretty quickly.
She knows better than that.
Yeah, it's a shame. She almost single-handedly gets you over the finish line with this movie, just based on her innate Southern charm, but it's not quite enough because the movie's pretty slight. Newsies,
Newsies.
Really?
the big Disney musical, came out this month. I actually hadn't seen it until I prepared for the podcast, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, surprisingly, and some of the music was very memorable and catchy. Only thing is, I think Christian Bale's miscast, and I would have probably switched the actor from Doogie Howser and made him the lead,
Oh,
because he feels more authentic than Christian Bale. I don't know. What do you guys think of the film? I'm
Is
sure
that
Jeff has
Mac
probably
as
seen like theatrical versions of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen they did like the stage version that they taped and put up on Disney Plus and stuff. But I've seen both versions, but I don't know. I like it. It's the There are a bit of
Right.
differences between the movie and the stage version. Like the stage version, basically, they turn. Hearst has a daughter who is a love interest, and then is secretly revealed to be Hearst's daughter later on. Like she was, there's that whole, oh wait, maybe you were a double agent thing. But
I guess it's kind of needless. I'm glad they kind of cut.
oh
that
yeah,
out.
well it's fun, but it's not necessarily accurate.
Right.
But Newsy's I forget in the movie. There's no love interest, right? It's literally just like it's the story, and then there's a
I mean,
couple
if you
songs.
want to count like the homoerotic relationship between him and the other kid.
All right, fine. But it wasn't as big of a musical. It was just like the story with some songs. It wasn't like a whole. I'm trying to remember because I did see the movie before I saw the show.
No, yeah, there are song and dance numbers, but they're pretty spaced out.
Yeah, I don't know. It was good.
You might say you're a newsie.
I'm a newsie.
The Player came out, which is Robert Altman's Indictment of Hollywood. And
Tim Robbins before Shawshank.
yeah, it's very savvy, very sharp. It's got a lot of cameos in it. Actually, the movie's pretty renowned for the one beginning tracking shot. You know how Robert Altman likes to do like overlapping dialogue and long setups and stuff like that. There's the shot starts off with the camera going between offices on this Hollywood lot, where you're kind of eavesdropping on these conversations of executives and stars, all these Hollywood insiders. Phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it.
I've wanted to for a while. It was at when I made my Netflix DVD list back in 2004. It was one of the first ones I put on, and I've just never gotten around to it.
Oh, okay.
There we go, buddy.
Yeah, someday.
Sleepwalkers came out,
which
is one of the first movies that is adapted from. It's a Stephen King screenplay that wasn't adapted from any pre-existing material. So this is an original story by him, which is weird because it feels so damn campy.
He loves camp.
But you know what? In that respect, if you can see it and accept it the way it is, it's fun. It's about these shape-shifting cat people. Basically absorb the essence of young women to keep themselves immortal.
Essence.
Yeah, by the second act, they just disregard any subtlety and just go explicitly tongue-in-cheek, and it's fun. The Babe came out, which is about Babe Ruth.
What?
The Babe. Not Babe. The Babe.
The Babe. Okay.
Yeah, which is
Big
John
difference.
Goodman playing Babe Ruth.
The Bambi.
Okay, yeah.
The Sultan of SWAT.
Kind of a sugar-coated biopic, if you ask me.
Yeah, he had a hard life.
Yeah, it's kind of schmaltzy. He's great in the lead role, as he usually is, but yeah, the movie itself is kind of lower tier, whereas his performance probably would have got nominated for something if it was in a better film. Boris and Natasha, which is a spinoff. I know, which is a spinoff of obviously Rocky and Bullwinkle. Weirdly enough, this thing was supposed to go theatrical, right? And then at the last minute, they pulled it, threw it on cable.
Oh, that explains why I don't remember it.
Exactly. It's directed by Charles Martin Smith, who a lot of people probably know from like The Untouchables. And when I tell you this casting, you're gonna say this is the most outside casting you would have thought of. Dave Thomas is Boris, and Sally Kellerman is Natasha. They have no chemistry at all.
Wow.
That's sad.
Where's Jason Alexander when you need him?
Right. I was gonna say
Actually,
that.
yeah, that casting was better in the later film. Still not good though.
We'll see when we get there.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's a 2000s movie.
It is. It's 2000 itself.
Damn it.
Yeah, sorry, bud. It is January or February, so it just missed.
Well, 2000 is the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brain Donors came out, which is a feeble attempt to try to revive the Marx Brothers-esque humor for the 90s. And it is one of the worst comedies I've ever seen. John Turturro utterly embarrasses himself in this thing. Awful, 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 awful. I think what dignify by continuing. Deep Cover came out this month, which I know Tristan just got on Criterion.
I got it like a year and a half ago, but yeah.
Beautiful Criterion print. Bill Duke directed this, and it's about this undercover agent who it more so goes into the connection between like lawyers and drug peddlers, and actually has a really good performance by Jeff Goldblum. It's him and Lawrence Fishburne as the undercover agent. Jeff Goldblum's one of the lawyers.
Jeff Goldblum and Lawrence Fishburne were in a movie together?
Yes.
I mentioned this when I bought it a year and a half ago.
Yeah. You have to watch it with Tristan. It's really good.
All right.
It's sitting right to your right.
And last but not least, A Midnight Clear, which is based on a William Wharton novel. And it's directed by Keith Gordon. It's about these American soldiers at the end of World War II who find this German regiment that wants to surrender. I heard it's like shot in black and white. It's very ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
It won a lot of awards on the circuit, but I haven't seen it. I want to.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I never seen it or heard of it.
We mentioned it at one point, I think in 1990, because someone's next film was A Midnight Clear. I forget.
It's got an ensemble cast. It's got Ethan Hawke. It's got Peter Berg, actually in one of his first roles.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Sinise is in it. Kevin Dillon.
I feel like
okay.
Frank Whaley. Yeah, I mean it's a good cast.
Oh, it was Frank Whaley when we did The Doors with Val Kilmer. We mentioned his next thing was A Midnight Clear.
It was either that or like career opportunities, but they probably came out pretty close.
I think career was right before The Doors, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll have to check this out at some point because it sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Kevin Dillon's in The Doors. There you go. It's the two handmaids.
Okay, there you go.
So, okay.
Is John C. McGinley in The Doors?
No, but he was.
Why did I think he was in it?
We just saw him in. I watched Platoon. That's
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anyway. Now your favorite moment, Jeff. I'm going to share with you the poster boy of the month. We have two that we're going to do. So this is your first one.
All right.
I don't know if you're going to be able to recognize it right away, but I've taken some elements out that will.
Is this a Five Goes West ripoff?
I think I got it. I already know it, but I'm gonna play along anyway.
Sure. What do you think this is about?
All right. Well, let me describe it for the folks listening at home. It is a bright neon sunset poster with a bunch of anthropomorphic animals. There's an evil-looking owl toward the top. There's a dude that looks like, I don't know if that's a cat, but he's got like the
coonskin cap.
And the coonskin cap.
Yeah, it looks like Davy Crockett.
Yeah, Davy Crockett. That's the one. I'm like, it's Dave something.
Just like Davy Crockett.
And they're over the ocean in front of a city, and they're like stuck in looks like a traveling case, swimming away from something.
Oh, yeah. A hint.
There's a dog. There's a blonde doll thing. I don't know what that is. And then I
kind of remember that.
A cunning-looking woodpecker. And, and there's music notes everywhere.
I love the music notes.
But yeah.
I feel like this movie is ripping off a lot of animation from like.
Oh yeah, it's very much.
You have no idea.
This is a Don Bluth special, isn't it, or is it something that's ripping?
Because that's the next hint.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
From the director of An American Tale and The Land Before Time.
So it is American Tale and The Land Before Time.
By the creators.
I'm gonna give a fake title first.
Because you know this one?
Yes. This is The Secret Life of Pets. beforehand. No, this is Rockadoodle.
Good
Boy,
job.
have you
Oh,
ever
here's
seen this,
the-
Jeff?
There's a catchphrase at the bottom. You don't need to.
Oh
read
yes,
it,
the
but-
rousing, rollicking adventure of the world's first rockin' rooster. If that didn't give it away, nothing would. And then there's
Rockadoodle.
a rooster that looks like Elvis.
Or Roy
This-
Orbison, whichever.
Movie absolutely traumatized me as a child.
It
See,
is.
my
It was
cousin
great.
got into this movie. I didn't.
Movie's
What?
awful.
I never got into this movie. Like I used to know people growing up like, oh, it's such a good movie. I'm like, watch
you
5
know-
minutes of it. I'm like, I'm done.
I watched this cold. Okay, I didn't know the plot. I didn't know that half the beginning, some of it is in live action. It's like Page
I
Master.
forgot about that.
That kid
Yeah.
is live action.
Yeah, it was. That's what was weird to me. I was like, why? It was like a sad Roger Rabbit.
Mm.
For a scary,
Yeah.
cool world.
The plot is all over the place. If you can even say that there's a plot.
Mm-hmm.
That the main rooster there goes missing.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, the Grandmaster Al, I think they call him the Grandmaster, so wants to destroy him for some odd reason. It's very inexplicable. A lot of this, movie,
Jealous.
I don't know why.
And I like Don Bluth. What the heck, man?
Between this
This is
and
the-
Devil and the Penguin, he should have retired.
This is definitely not even the beginning of the end. This is where it went sharply down a cliff for him. I love him, but it got bad. He ran out of money, I'm pretty sure, or didn't have a writer room.
I wonder if that's why they filmed some of this, where they're just like, we couldn't afford the animators. We just
That would be really funny and depressing, but so I have another one for you, Jeff. You'll be shocked to find that these were the same month, but this explains everything about your psyche.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Wonder if you saw these back to back.
Oh,
Can you tell from this?
Oh yeah.
This is okay.
I mean, I gave you a hint.
Don't say anything, Jim.
That's fine. I probably would have figured it out anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
you
see
messed
the-
this up, man.
So we are in
It's
it's
a Bug's Life.
very dark
Oh
looking
my god. Okay.
setting. A lot of foliage, some fairies, a really creepy looking chameleon salamander poisonous reptile thing.
That's a fairly good assessment.
There's a magic cloud in the back.
It's just a cloud.
It looks like Castle Grayskull back there. What is
It looks like Mount Olympus.
Just a
show
it's
you
just a
that.
cloud.
There's people riding bugs. There
What kind of plants are there in the background?
are
Marijuana.
jungle foliage.
Mm-hmm.
One would say a rainforest.
Ooh, look at that. These weren't difficult.
Can you guess what continent it's on? Because if you watch the movie, you would think it was in America, but it's not.
No.
All right, I'm gonna give
Nobody
you another
has
part of this.
accents in the movie.
Yeah.
Here's your two antagonists or protagonists. I'm
Ooh.
not on the
No,
side
they're
of the
antagonists.
I see somebody's a Tim Curry fan.
Leafboarding. Dude's leafboarding, and then there's another pixie in some red skimpy outfit.
Yeah,
Oh, Barry.
It's
well,
really sexualized. Now I'm looking at that.
yeah, it's not good. Anyway, here's your catchphrase.
They live in a secret world touched by magic and surrounded by adventure. And the only human who has ever been there must now fight to save it.
This is such a propaganda film.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's Robin Williams as a bat.
I had to take Batty out because
Googly-eyed.
too obvious.
I mean, that was
Here you go.
a good doctor.
Oh no!
Oh no, it's the creepy smog monster.
What is this? Lost?
I'm lost. What are you talking
It's
about?
lost the animated.
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully, the last rainforest.
Yep.
Where's this take place, Jimmy?
Australia.
What?
Yeah. Takes place in. Remember, there's a wallaby in the movie. It's
That's
Australia.
True. I
Mhm.
forgot about that.
Mhm. Nobody has accents.
That's
That
why
month,
it's the last one.
Oh, and funnily enough, the fairies are white.
yeah.
You would think they'd be Aboriginal, right?
Yeah, like why aren't they Arab? Yeah.
Are there even any kangaroos in this?
Kangaroos? No.
Well, they wouldn't be in the
My
rainforest.
goodness.
That's
kangaroos are out in the deserty part.
Outback. Okay.
Yeah, the outback.
Outback.
There's no
Outback. Yeah, like what the T-Bone said.
Outback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's they
Paul
show
Hogan
like,
should have been one of the voices. Damn it.
Paul Hogan should have been Betty.
That would have been cool.
April 1992 messed with my brain.
You were 4. Not even.
Yeah.
wait,
But
have
like
you
the
actually seen
Smog
this movie or
Monster
not?
gave me nightmares. Rockadoodle made me incredibly depressed.
Rockadoodle made me feel like I took LSD for the first time.
Well, that too. But I was also 4, so everything felt like LSD.
Sure.
I mean, it's a good movie.
What?
Well,
Oh,
I like Fern Gully.
Okay, I thought you
Fern
were talking
Gully's good.
No, Fern Gully was, yeah.
I mean, got to watch it in science class like almost every other year.
Yeah.
That's true. I
Pictures
forgot.
all over.
Like that's the best part of science class.
And yet we learned nothing.
Mhm.
Because
the
They're
movie that
rainforest
inspired
life.
Avatar.
I learned that Tim Curry is everywhere
yeah.
because he did a lot of voice acting. So like,
Oh yeah.
and like he was in a lot of shows and a lot of movies. And like, by the time I reached my teenage years,
Muppet
he had,
Treasure Island.
he had a live action TV show that he was like a butler or something, and then like he was like on billboards for like
that wasn't Clue.
yeah, he was in Clue, but like he was also on like billboards for like advertisements for like lottery and some crap. So like
Really?
to me, Tim Curry is everywhere. He's God and the devil, if you know.
I was gonna say he is the devil in
Yeah.
Legend. He's
Mhm.
fantastic.
So like he's both.
Yeah, but have you ever watched a movie where he didn't deliver? He's always great.
Yeah, no, he never even if he's in a bad movie, he knows it and he's gonna play it up and make it.
Hey, I just
make
watched
his
McHale's
parts good.
Baby. He's the best part of that movie.
Yeah. He was in Congo.
Hey, Congo's fun.
Yeah, Congo was pretty good.
We got to do that from that shows up.
He was the dad in the Wild Thornberries, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nigel.
so another rainforest animation or
Mhm.
Hey,
just
he's a
animal.
concierge in Home Alone 2.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
He would have been an excellent Boris Badenoff.
Absolutely.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Ah,
Good
damn
call.
it. Grr.
He could have used the accent from Congo.
Yeah. So Jeff mentioned briefly earlier that the cinematographer of Thunderheart was our beloved Roger Deakins, and we thought it appropriate to finally recognize him and pick our favorite Roger Deakins films, Roger Deakins lensed films.
Anything that man touches turns to gold. So
I feel like we should also pick out like maybe like our favorite shot.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's
what,
good.
dude? I already have a hard time picking which
Come on, man.
movie, man.
Well, that's
Like,
how I
but
picked.
that
my
also
favorite
requires us to like have to actually have seen the movie. So
Oh well.
Well, then how are you
yeah.
gonna pick it if it's your favorite?
Yeah. What are you doing, man?
how you doing?
Come on, man.
I might as well go first since I was a little prepared. So I know it's a little more recent, but I'd go with Skyfall.
God damn it!
Ah, damn it! I can do another one if you
No,
want.
it's fine. Go ahead.
No.
Well, my favorite
Go
shot.
with your
is
first pick, man.
My fairest shot is the one where he's fighting the agent in front of that blue light coming out of the building, and
That was exactly
that's
the
it.
shot I was gonna say.
Yeah, so we agree at least.
That's fine. I know another one I could pick.
I have a second one.
It's probably gonna be the same one I got.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say Assassination of Jesse James.
Yeah, you can
when,
have that.
when Robert Ford is backstage at the theater and is doing that slow pushing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what shot you were talking about. I'd actually argue there's a good reference for this film. Sam Shepard plays Jesse James' older brother, Frank, in The Assassination of Jesse James. And there's a shot
People are
where
sleeping on that movie, by the way.
he comes out of the darkness with a lantern to go find Jesse.
Oh,
And
I
it's
think so.
it's shot in almost natural light. Roger Deakins made that train scene.
You know what? There's a couple of shots
agree.
where they do the shallow focus in the background that Zack Snyder's being criticized for Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
But but the way Roger Deakins lends it, it gives everything like a dreamlike quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those two films are top notch for me.
Yeah.
I was actually going to bring up my second thing was he lensed a lot of Coen Brothers films, and I won't steal from you guys, but I would have gone with the Lady Killers because that was something that
Ooh.
was one of the first things Corey and I watched together. He enlightened me to how good the Lady Killers actually is.
Yeah.
Is almost, I think, the best part is the cinematography. I think that's what makes the film actually an underrated gem itself.
Yeah. You know what? I would go with the for Coen Brothers. I would pick like an underrated one, like Man Who Wasn't There.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody's getting into this black and white like retro cinematography now. But there's a shot. I don't want to give anything away, but somebody gets killed, and the way that the blood just kind of billows out of them is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you have anything yet?
I can't make up my mind.
Yeah, there's
just
so
pick
much.
a couple then.
Well, that's why I said
like,
3 of them.
Yeah.
Three?
Well, 1917,
Mm-hmm.
Never Shot was the whole thing
Yeah.
because it was literally one shot.
Well, they do a good job of hiding.
Yeah,
that.
no, exactly. I know it's kind of gimmicky and like a bunch of movies have done in the past couple of years, but I'm continually
Birdman.
impressed when
We
they do
just saw
that,
Revenant
especially
finally.
because this one was done with mostly natural light, which is the other thing. Like
Mhm.
a lot of them, like when Birdman happened, that was all like going
Yeah,
in and out and all sorts of stuff, but
Yeah.
to do it all with natural light is also impressive. I also really I love In Time. I can't think of a specific shot that like all stick out, but it was that
It feels
movie.
very neo-noir, that movie.
I love
have
that.
a good shot for In Time if you want it. You know, when Olivia Wilde finally expires and Justin Timberlake.
Oh, when they're running towards each other?
Yes.
That's a good shot,
That
yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's what I think of when I think
That
of
movie, I feel like should be remade because they could make it
better.
Screenplay's not quite up to snuff, but
Yeah, I think Justin Timberlake is underrated in that film, but other than his performance and I guess the cinematography.
once it becomes like a Bonnie and Clyde movie, I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
The kid from Mad Men is chasing after them.
Yeah.
Beautiful Mind, the shot when he's explaining the equation with the woman right at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Yeah, that's a really underratedly shot film. I think people put all of that on Ron Howard, but if you credit Roger Deakins with making it glisten, you can understand why that film won Best Picture.
Yeah.
I think.
I kind of, you know what? Speaking of that movie, I like the handheld sequence where he's had a relapse and she realizes that the baby's being unattended in the bathtub. That sequence is like feverishly shot.
Harrowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What are you going with, Jimmy?
I don't know. Like, damn. I'm still staring at his list.
There's a lot.
Okay. You know
He's
what?
touched half of Hollywood. Oh wait, no, that came out wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
buddy. Watch what you say. We don't want him to end up in jail.
He's got a very long, list.
Oh wait, along what?
Long list of victims.
I'm done. Just pick your damn movie.
Okay. I'm gonna go with like first shot. I'm gonna go with The Village. Just because like
I didn't realize he shot that.
yeah, no, it was like just the way that like how the bright, vibrant colors would pop compared to everything else.
There is a couple shots in that where you know what? The movie shot way better than it probably deserves. The part where she has her hand extended and Joaquin quick grabs her and pulls her inside before what are they called? The Watchers, whatever.
I forgot.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's The Village, simply for that. I didn't know he did The Secret Garden.
Really?
Like I
the-
remember seeing that
the-
movie a lot as a kid. I just don't remember it, so like I can't like not vividly, so like I can't like pick out any particular shots, but I know I I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
What was the Big Lebowski?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Also,
I
this
don't know why this shot stands out in my mind. The Big Lebowski, but when the mug gets thrown at his head. Just because I'm sure they didn't actually throw a mug at Jeff Bridges' head, but the composite shot away.
So Tristan,
Shawshank.
Yes.
he was the cinematographer for The Reader.
Uh-huh.
Hey, great film.
Oh my god, I
Oh,
have
no,
never seen it. But like as the
His worst
online
film.
joke with the The Reader,
Almost as good as the
it
book
went.
thief.
My least favorite film.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna
I
stick
know
with The
that
Village
film.
because if I keep on staring at this list, I'm just gonna
Yeah, that's
my
fine.
brain's gonna go into a spin.
Yeah. Good film. Good choices, everyone. So we got Skyfall, Assassination of Jesse James. What did you just say, Jimmy? The
The
Village.
Village.
And yeah, let's go with 1917.
Okay.
He
Cool.
did win an Oscar for it after all.
Sounds good. I think that settles it.
Does it though?
We're gonna be back next month with a film called One Sudden Move. Is that next?
One false move.
One False Move. What's June? They're kind of similar.
June.
June is
Generic
unlawful
titles.
entry.
Unlawful entry and one false move, which could mean anything. We don't know what's going to happen in either of them, except one of them shouldn't have gone in.
Which is
one
why it's a false
and it
move?
becomes unlawful entry. So I don't know. There's a joke there somewhere. I didn't
There's
know
a
there was.
thread throughout this entire year.
Yeah. So we're going to be checking in with that next month. And I believe Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton are in it.
Yes.
Am I correct with that? Yeah.
Billy Bob
So-
co-wrote it.
Before A Simple Plan, they made one false move. So I'd like to thank you for listening to Thunderheart. I hope if you enjoy the film, you enjoyed it alongside us, our commentary. And if you
haven't seen it, go watch it.
yeah, I don't know why you're listening to this if you didn't, but if you liked what we were doing here, remember to rate, review, subscribe, do all those things that podcast people ask you to do. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. So.
Wow.